Follow the traces. Explore roots deep. Learn from the past. Futures to reap. Stay tuned for Qingqiao Safety. Detective. Chapter 2. Lethal Gas. Imagine Bhopal transformed into a harrowing cage of death. The unending sea of white smoke claimed the lives of over 2,000 people on the spot, in agonizing and gruesome ways. In the subsequent 2 weeks, an additional 8,000 individuals succumbed to the aftermath. Even among the fortunate survivors, nearly 40,000 were left grappling with lifelong afflictions and severe disabilities, a haunting legacy of the tragic event. According to statistics from the Indian Council of Medical Research, over time, this incident eventually caused 22,000 direct deaths and 550,000 indirect deaths. Keep in mind that at that time, the total population of Bhopal was only 850,000. Under the strain of numerous deaths, Union Carbide, the American company, reluctantly admitted that the gas leaked from the pesticide factory was methyl isocyanate, a highly toxic chemical. Notably, methyl isocyanate had been used as a chemical weapon by the Nazis against Jews during World War II. Its exposure leads to severe health issues such as pneumonia, pulmonary edema, skin tissue necrosis, and corneal damage, explaining the violent coughing, streaming tears, and internal burning experienced by the residents of Bhopal. Within pesticide factories, methyl isocyanate has evolved into a primary raw material for producing high-efficiency pesticides. Boasting a low boiling point of 39.6 degrees Celsius, it exhibits exceptional volatility. Typically, it is cooled into a liquid state and housed in 3 stainless steel double-layer storage tanks, each capable of holding up to 45 tons. Pesticide factories implement multiple safety measures to mitigate potential risks. For instance, to prevent the rise in temperature due to sunlight, a substantial portion of the storage tank is buried underground. Additionally, a refrigeration system is installed between the tank walls, ensuring the gas remains in a liquefied state. In the event of a tank wall breach leading to the release of harmful gases, a purifier is in place to neutralize them. In case the purifier fails, an automatic ignition device activates to consume the gas within the combustion tower, further enhancing safety protocols. No matter how rigorous the preventive measures, their effectiveness relies on human implementation. When people's vigilance and safety awareness wane, these measures become merely symbolic. In 1984, with a downturn in pesticide market demand, factories experienced persistent financial losses. To cut operating costs in 1984, the factory not only conducted massive layoffs but also significantly shortened on-the-job training from 6 months to just 15 days, rendering comprehensive safety training unfeasible. Besides its toxicity, methyl isocyanate is highly corrosive, requiring regular replacement of transportation pipelines. Unfortunately, the factory neglected this essential maintenance. This neglect led to a situation where none of the safety systems on the pesticide factory's production lines were operating effectively. Manual alarm bells, cooling, and neutralization equipment malfunctioned or were shut down, all due to a lack of maintenance. Just months before the accident, a safety inspection team identified 61 significant safety hazards at the factory. Regrettably, the factory managers chose to disregard these warnings. On the evening of December 3, a critical incident occurred when a worker's misoperation during maintenance led to the inadvertent entry of methyl isocyanate into a tank. Upon water entering the tank, a turbulent chemical reaction ensues, causing the liquid methyl isocyanate within the tank to vaporize, resulting in a rapid escalation of tank pressure. At 0:05 a.m., the factory control room received a distress call from an on-duty worker, reporting an alarming rise in pressure within the storage tank and the onset of gas leakage from the pipeline. However, the operator, who was engaged in a card game with colleagues, responded to check the pipeline. Faced with aging equipment prone to abnormalities, he relied on experience to assess the situation. After a brief observation, the operator detected no notable issues. He subsequently relayed this information to everyone and returned to the control room. At 0:56, a sudden explosion occurred in the pressure tank on the instrument panel, leading to the overflow of liquid methyl isocyanate in gaseous form. The gas, which should be combusted in the tower, breached the pipe wall under intense air pressure, forcefully breaking through. The concrete ceiling above resounded loudly as it was thrust into the air outside the factory. Witnessing the catastrophic event, panicked workers swiftly activated alarms and resorted to their final option, using water guns to spray and dissolve the gases. Unfortunately, the water spray pipes lacked sufficient pressure and couldn't reach the height of the gas emissions. In essence, all safety and security systems proved ineffective, and the leakage from the pesticide factory at this moment resembled the opening of Pandora's box. With the situation spiraling out of control, workers soaked their clothes, shielded their mouths and noses, and hurriedly fled with the wind. They were left with no choice but to allow the harmful gases to disperse into the air and propagate with the wind. In 2 hours, 40 tons of leaked methyl isocyanate turned into thick smoke, spreading at 5 km per hour and covering 25 square kilometers rapidly. The Bhopal poison gas leak garnered global attention, exposing risks and issues tied to foreign investments in Indian factories. Post-accident, the Indian government promptly shut down the pesticide factory. The investigation, led by the Indian Council of Scientific and Industrial Research and the Central Bureau of Investigation, aimed to identify and punish those responsible. Nevertheless, Andrew, the American Union Carbide head who hastily left the country, asserted that the factory faced intentional sabotage and insisted it was not a management issue, aiming to salvage the company's reputation. Several months after the incident, he announced his retirement and declined to return to India. In response to India's request for an investigation, the United States declined to extradite Andrew back to India, citing insufficient evidence for trial. Determining accountability for such a grave accident raises a critical question: who should be held responsible? Please stay tuned for the next issue, Detective of Qingqiao Safety.